from Ryan Nezet. What are the legal options for the players who believe that the NFLPA leadership is corrupt? His word, not mine. Now, there's no real legal option for just backing up this idea that they're corrupt. You got to prove it, and you got to come up with a way to prove it. And there are different things that you can do. And one thing that you can do as a player is explore the possibility of a lawsuit alleging that the NFLPA violated what's known as the duty of fair representation. And here's one very simple approach that a player could take. I'm not advocating, I'm just explaining it. If I'm a guy that was a free agent in the most recent cycle, 2025, and, I got a deal that wasn't fully guaranteed. And if I had known that a partial victory had been secured over the league in the collusion grievance that was hidden in the safe in Lloyd Howell's office for more than 5 months, if I'd known about it, if my agent had known about it, he might have been able to negotiate a better deal for me. That's an argument I've heard from agents that, hey, if I had known about this, I could have done a better deal for my client. The other thing, too, is the idea that because this thing was hidden. Now, I don't know how this. Let me back up a step. The league and the union had an agreement that they were going to freeze the collusion litigation in place until one side or the other decided to move forward. I haven't seen the language of that agreement. Obviously, the union has decided to move forward and appeal the collusion grievance. I don't know if that was worded broadly enough to protect the players who would say, based on the collusion grievance, I'm filing my own. We have a partial finding that there was an urging of teams to collude. I'm going to use that as the starting point for my own collusion case based on my own contract that I've signed since this all happened. And the argument from the league would be, sorry, deadline's expired. Deadline's expired for filing your non-injury grievance under the CBA. I don't know how that would shake out, but hey, at a minimum, and I think the precursor would be filing the grievance and forcing the league to make that argument, losing on that argument. And if you do lose on that argument that the deadline's expired, that's when you turn back around and you sue the NFLPA. I'm not trying to stir up litigation against the NFLPA. I'm just trying to demonstrate that there are rights if players want to pursue them. And we had heard in the aftermath of the reporting that came from the Pablo Torre Finds Out episode from several weeks back that exposed the 61-page collusion ruling, there were players that were calling around to see what their legal options were. And they've got their legal options. They've got their options within the confines of the NFLPA Constitution. Will there be a sufficient uprising to remove Lloyd Howell? How much of that depends upon the investigation that was started as a result of the One Team Partners investigation from the FBI? Nobody really still knows what that's all about. Now you've got an investigator on the scene. You've got other issues that have come up, hiding the collusion ruling, conflict of interest that previously wasn't taken very seriously. How do all those things come together? And does it result at some point in the player representatives, one per team, getting together in a room and at least 2/3 of them voting to change the NFLPA executive director? That's all TBD. And, one of the points that we've been making is the powers that be at the union, non-player leadership, Lloyd Howell and J.C. Treader, they may be just hoping to kick the can until training camps open, at which point bright, shiny objects distract everyone. And we can forget about those meddling kids who have created all these issues. I guarantee you this, though, I ain't going to forget about it. And I'll find a way to talk about it, write about it, continue to cover it until we have a final answer as to what that investigation being conducted by an outside lawyer concludes and what the final action is and whatever else may pop up. Because who knows? Last week, I didn't know there was going to be a story from ESPN that Lloyd Howell has this obvious conflict of interest where he's a paid consultant, part-time, but still with the Carlyle Group, a private equity fund that's on the short list of private equity funds that have been pre-authorized by the NFL to purchase a minority interest team. It's laughable. It is laughable that it sounds like a joke when you say it. It sounds like a bit. The head of a sports union works as a consultant for a private equity fund that has been pre-approved by the mortal enemy of the sports union to buy minority interests in NFL teams. It is a joke. And I wanted to say a word that started with F, but I don't want to have to make Gary bleep it. Okay. Dan Mushman. It's either Mushman or Mushman. Do you think the NFL is taking the London market seriously? Seats still available for all games, used to sell out within hours. I don't know whether or not that's true. I'll take your word for it, Mr. Mushman. Jags fatigue, not Jets, Jags fatigue, poor matchups, above inflation ticket increases, getting rid of season tickets. When will it change? Look, I think they're taking the London market seriously, but I also think that they realize there are other markets that maybe they're going to take more seriously, like Germany. Seems like there's a greater passion in comparison between Germany and London. But London's got 2 NFL-ready stadiums, and they're all in with Europe. And who knows where it's going to go from here? So it may just be they're taking London for granted. Not that they're taking London seriously. They're taking London for granted. And, we see this in all businesses and all walks of life. Something new comes along to get the attention of the people in charge. And the thing that's been there, the old reliable, gets taken for granted. So London is the old reliable that's being taken for granted now that the NFL is infatuated with Germany and Spain and wherever else they want to try to play the game. So I think that's the answer, Dan Mushman or Mushman. I think the NFL isn't failing to take London seriously. I think the NFL is taking London for granted. All right, one more. And along those same lines from Lee Dale, UK. Greetings from London. Hopefully you make it back onto Sky. We hope so too. If the NFL looks to expand franchises, what's the most likely way to do it? Flat add a new division in each conference, increase division size, or some sort of it by bit adding teams, and that means division sizes will vary. Look, this is the problem. When the Texans joined the NFL in 2002, they fell into a perfect configuration of teams. Before 2002, 6 teams were in the old AFC Central. 6 teams. So now they've got, and I remember when Tampa Bay and Seattle joined, then all of a sudden you got multiple 5-team divisions and 4-team divisions. And, that's a big difference. Like 4 teams versus 5 in a division, that makes it harder to win the division. So now they've got 8 divisions with 4 teams each, and they love it that way. So what do you do if you have a European division? Which, and this was several months ago, but hey, I was reliably told the NFLPA kind of bracing for the NFL to eventually say we want to do this, and what are all the issues involved, and how do we make this work? You've got different players that land in different countries with different governments and different tax systems and different exchange rates and different everything. And, you don't just leave overnight for a road trip and then come back after the game. You're gone for weeks. Your family's there alone for weeks. Nobody bargained for that. Nobody wants that. The sorting hat now has other countries in it where you may be assigned. It just creates all sorts of issues. But from the standpoint of the configuration of the league, yeah, hey, what do you do? You have 4 expansion teams. You put them in one division. What conference do you put them in? And then what do you do with the imbalance? You're going to add 4 teams to one division. What are you going to do? You're going to take, what would that be? Okay, you add 4 teams to one division. It goes from 16 to 20. Now, do you take 2 teams away from that division or conference and move it to the other conference and go 18-18? That's probably what they would do. So what we would have, and I apologize for my clumsiness as I think out loud here. Let's say you have, and let's just say they put it in the AFC, a 4-team division with 2 teams in London, Germany, and Spain, just for sake of example. So that's one division, 4 teams. Then you've got the other 16 teams are already there. You take one of the divisions, let's just say the South. You take 2 of the teams, let's just say Colts, because they used to be in the NFL pre-merger. We'll take the Colts and we'll take the Jaguars. And we'll take the Colts and the Jaguars and we will move them to the NFC. and we'll put one of them in one division and one of them in another. And then the Texans and the Titans, one of them get assigned to a division in the AFC and one gets assigned to the other. So you come out of it with 2 5-team divisions in each conference, 2 4-team divisions in each conference, and one conference has a European division and the other one doesn't, which in and of itself is an imbalance because you're going to have greater obligations on the teams in the AFC if you put the European division in the AFC to have to travel to play these teams twice a year, which would be one road trip and 2 games back to back. That's why the Vikings are doing it this year. Steelers in Dublin, Browns in London. This is the first test case for this concept of taking a team that would have to play 2 teams in Europe, take them over there, schedule it back to back, so it's just one trip. So that's an example of how it could work. Whether it makes sense or not isn't up to me, but that's an example of how you would absorb a 4-team European division. The problem is, yeah, it creates a greater hardship for the AFC if you drop that division in there. Now, what they also could do, this would result in 40 teams, and I think eventually they will have 40 teams. I will be pushing up more than 40 daisies by then, but you could do 4 European teams and 4 Pacific teams, right? That would require, I think, a more comprehensive overhaul of the league. I think you would almost need to have an East and West conference. You would need to put all the California teams in the same division, in the same conference, excuse me. I don't know why I'm mixing that up today. So regardless, you put all the California, Denver, Arizona, Seattle, you load up one conference with the teams that are on kind of that half of the world or that portion of the world, and then everybody like east of the Mississippi is in the other one. I don't know that that's seamless, but I think you'd have to do that at some point if you would go 4-team European division, 4-team Pacific division. But this is what they want to do. They want to grow the sport. They want to have more inventory. Hey, once they get to the maximum number of games, I think that's when expansion becomes a reality. And who cares if there aren't enough quarterbacks to go around? The year that all the quarterbacks were injured, 2023, the numbers were still great. Hey, you don't have a great quarterback? Oh, well, we're still playing the game. And we're still going to put it on TV, and we're still going to make a ton of money off of it. Sorry, your quarterback isn't very good, but we're talking about 8 more teams, and I don't know, maybe there will be enough competent quarterback. I don't know. Look at how many colleges there are. And nobody says, are there too many colleges? Are there too many college programs? Now, there's only a small group that run the sport, and look at the NFL right now. There's a small group that runs the sport. So competitive considerations like that in today's NFL, and maybe the NFL of yesteryear, at some point it changed. 70s, 80s, I don't know when. Making money superseded everything else. And all those other things are just details. Oh, you're not going to have enough quarterbacks? Oh, well. Oh, well. I'll shed some tears with that when I'm done counting the money. More games, more teams, more countries, more money. Follow the money, period. So we may not like it. They don't care if we like it, because what are we going to do? Are we going to stop watching? Are we going to say enough is enough? I'm done with that sport. Are we going to deny ourselves the thing we love? See, I talked about the London market being taken for granted. The American market is being taken for granted. Instead of maximizing the full and complete saturation point of American interest in football, they're focused on all these other countries. And hey, maybe one of these days they will play a Super Bowl overseas. And if they do, we will huff and we will puff and we will tune in at 1 o'clock Eastern on the day of the Super Bowl to consume the full 6.5-hour pregame show, watch the full Super Bowl, and talk about it for the rest of the week. And we won't care where it was played. It could be played on the friggin' moon as long as it looks the same coming through our flat screens in our TV rooms or on our phones or wherever we may be. That's the reality. They'll take us for granted because they can, because they have a product that we want that we can't get anywhere else. Oh, there's pro football elsewhere, and nobody cares about it. They care about the NFL, and yeah, they'll keep taking our money, and they'll keep finding ways to make more money. And hey, I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with it, but I'm explaining to you this is where it happens. This is where it goes. It goes with the money. Follow the money. That's it for today. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.